What industry is a lot shadier than it seems? Avocado farms. Most of the farms in Central America are taken over by the cartel because of how much money is in selling avocados. The textbook industry. Pearson is the Duckine Mafia. McGraw-Hill was the bane of my existence for years. Same. I'm really looking forward to graduating to finish school, but also so I can stop needing to buy $120 online codes from McGraw-Hill. So done with it. I hate the books so much. History book volume 7 is old but 8 today. Why is 7 old? Because they revised a few paragraphs here and there. Textbooks are a scam. The bookstore offered me $2 for a $120 book because a new edition was pending. I took it to a used bookstore and they bought it for $35. Sounds about as bad as GameStop. It really pissed me off because the kid ahead of me sold his calculus book for $90. I couldn't believe the number they gave me after that. I refused the sale mostly out of spite. I also took some old DS game I had to the bookstore and got a surprisingly nice sum. Seriously? The funeral business preys on people's weakest moments to convince them to buy ridiculously unnecessary stuff. Ask a Mortician is a really good YouTube channel that tries to make the death industry more open and clear. Hello fellow death enthusiast. Lol, I second this recommendation. Caitlin has a way of breaking down complicated issues to make it easy to understand. Her books are great too. Trucking. The margins are razor thin and so everyone is trying to nickel and dime each other constantly. The drivers lie to their dispatchers, the dispatchers lie to the brokers lie to the clients. All of this for like $50 to $100 sometimes. I worked in trucking and the head hour lady for our distribution center was skimming payroll, shorting the checks of the lowest people on the totem pole, then getting cash infusions to petty cash from corporate to return part of the theft as an emergency tied over until the employee's next check, then claiming the rest of the theft as an overage on the next payroll report. I am probably missing a step in her chain, but I am not an accountant. It was a scam. She managed to work for a couple of years due to a lack of oversight during nationwide management shifts. When she finally got caught, rather than take the bad publicity, the company just let her leave. The last I heard, she was working in the same position in an adjacent industry, but still involving transportation. C'est la vie. LOL, classic accounting scam. It's literally in my Accounting 101 book. CBD, lot of predatory companies making subpar products with questionable raw materials and then marking it way the duck up and selling it as a miracle cure to vulnerable and ill-educated consumers. Usually have a high-power legal team on deck, but pay their workers shit and no benefits. Edit, because so many people are asking, while I used to be in sales in the industry and have my own opinions about who's good out there, it's a woefully short list. Y'all probably have your best luck checking out the top recommendations at RCBD. They have a whole pin post about best companies that they've, hopefully, vetted well. Are CBD products, not the actual marijuana, regulated, or are they like the vitamin industry where most all of the products are suspect and aren't FDA approved? No FDA approvals now, just testing to ensure it's below the hemp line in THC. Not an industry, but higher academia is badly broken. Some of the smartest people are some of the most badly exploited. Old tenured professors limit the number of faculty many departments can have, forcing people to work as postdocs forever, effectively doing all the work the professor should be doing in the first place. Meager pay and long hours, plus constant pressure makes postdocs some of the most depressed people. The grad students are no better either. A lot of the times grad students don't complain about ill treatment, harassment and outright bullying as they don't want to jeopardize their prospects of graduating. If you're a foreigner, this situation becomes even worse, whether you're a grad student or a postdoctoral researcher. My university recently had massive protests and strikes over grad student wages and treatment. It was looking like they were gaining traction for a bit until coronavirus hit. The university responded by basically mass firing the TAs. It was really disgusting. UC Santa Cruz? That's the one. It's gross how the university treats graduate students. I've been supporting watching the COLA effort from another UC. All the best to you, dude. More people died last year over vanilla in Madagascar than cocaine in South America. They've even coined the term vanilla murder. Farmers hire armed mercenaries to guard their crops from thieves near harvest time, and if one is caught, well, let's just say it's in response to all the farmers that were killed by thieves for the same reason. This article is a fairly light read on the subject without anything too graphic. But there is a great deal of information about it floating around, along with some pretty disturbing accounts. I'm going to start using "that's vanilla" to mean extreme. When people tell me I'm misusing the phrase, I'll tell them about the vanilla murders. Vanilla, while being a common flavor in the Western world, is quite exotic in actuality. It is the fruit of a specific orchid, and most of the vanilla we get in the Western world come from Madagascar and its surrounding islands. It is hand-pollinated, and storms in the Atlantic Ocean have made their harvest difficult in the past several years. I understand that vanilla is the second most expensive spice to produce behind saffron. Edit, Indian Ocean, because I'm stupid and don't know geography. All industries are shadier than they seem. I used to work for a flute manufacturer and it was shady as hell. Deets? I don't want to name the manufacturer, but it was around the 2008 financial crisis and the place was equity-owned and leveraged to ducking Mars. The CEO was committing bank fraud and screwing contractors while laying off employees and enriching himself. Was there a whistleblower among the flutists? The maritime industry. Most of the big companies do things by the book and treat crews well because they're afraid of lawsuits and unions, but many smaller mom-and-pop companies break laws and violate safety regulations with reckless abandon because they're not as visible and can stay under the radar, so to speak. It's very common for a small company to ask a captain crew to do something illegal and dangerous in order to increase profit, and for the captain crew to comply out of fear of losing their jobs. And that's just the U.S. maritime industry. Sailors from poorer nations who work on ships are often fed little more than rice and cheap ramen for months at a time and paid pennies for their back-breaking work. I love running tugs for a living, but the industry as a whole is rife with shady business. I'd if it falls under maritime, but I took one look at the job listing for a cruise ship and now I tell all my coworkers to never take a job with one. I'm a stagehand and theater technician. I make decent money fresh out of college, $18 to $24 an hour depending on venue, even without joining the union, because I do specialized work. Looked into a lighting tech spot on a cruise ship, and I'd be getting minimum wage working 50 hours and 7 days a week. Wi-Fi on board costs money out of my paycheck. I'd be in charge of passenger safety off hours if an alarm goes off and we have to get people onto rescue rafts. I'd have a roommate in a small bunk, and all my wages would go directly into a ship debit card so I could give my income straight back to the company to eat. Something about living and working on a boat in the middle of the ocean seems to make employers think they don't have to actually care for their employees. I can imagine working on a boat that isn't filled with people on vacation would be even worse. FYI, life on a US flagged container ship is actually pretty sweet. Sailors get spacious, private accommodations, free Wi-Fi, 3 full meals a day of varying quality, and a strictly enforced work-hour cycle to prevent exhaustion. Go on. Hey man, you're a captain. You should already know. Doesn't the beauty industry have a problem with child labor? I remember watching a thing where a journalist goes to India to see the mines where children mine some sort of mineral to make bronzer. Edit, The mineral is mica and someone pointed out the video where I remembered this from. Link, https://www.youtube.com watch. VRH9C2FGC featureout2.p. Yes, they mine mica and it's in almost every beauty product. It adds shimmer to the product. But a lot of companies are now using artificial L or synthetic mica and moving to produce it more ethically. You just have to do your research on who you're willing to buy from and if they use child labor. Here's a link to a Reddit thread from Makeup Addiction that outlines brands that are ethically sourced and cruelty-free. https://www.reddit.com Makeup Addiction comments Bullseye idealist of makeup brands are working. Source share at medium isapit namiosmf. Damn these reminders, it's 2020 and check to see if they use child labor is still a thing that exists in the world. I mean I know it intellectually but just damn. The thing is that if people aren't paying attention, corruption comes back. A society has to work at these things constantly or greedy narcissists will climb back to the top. Edit, thanks to whoever gave me silver. This is the only time I've ever gotten this level of love from Reddit. Dietary supplements. It's gotten better, but there's still a lot of half-truths and whole lies. Not all that long ago it was seriously like the wild wild west. And doing your own research is nearly impossible since the signal-to-noise ratio of the information is so low. As a chef owner, I would say delivery services like Grubhub. They take 30% of the sale, leaving the restaurant with basically $0 in profit. And their customer support is a joke. It's like they hate us. Duck them. Never again. Yelp has been teaming with Grubhub to only list restaurants' Grubhub contact numbers, not their direct line, so they have to pay Grubhub for the order even though you called it in. Here are some articles about this in case anyone is curious: Vice.com, TheVerge.com, Eater.com. Everyone to just stop using Yelp completely. They are a ducking shit company. It looks like they changed it, but my favorite Yelp bullshit used to be that their web app had two different filters for if a restaurant offered takeout, one prominently placed one that said takeout, and another buried in the other filter categories labeled takeout. The former would only show restaurants that offered takeout ordering through Yelp, meaning they get a cut. If you have to say you're not extorting, you probably are. The fun thing is, the court agreed that Yelp was manipulating the reviews in order to do economic harm to businesses in the Levitt v. Yelp, Incorporated, but that it did not meet the specific crime of extortion. The actual quote from the 2014 appeal was, "We conclude, first, that Yelp's manipulation of user reviews was not wrongful use of economic fear, and, second, that the business owners pled insufficient facts to make out a plausible claim that Yelp authored negative reviews of their businesses. Accordingly, we agree with the district court that these allegations do not support a claim for extortion." A little later, therefore, unless a person has a pre-existing right to be free of the threatened economic harm, threatening economic harm to induce a person to pay for a legitimate service is not extortion. In short, Yelp doesn't extort anyone. They just threaten economic harm in order to obtain money from businesses. But because technically suppressing positive reviews and ordering negative reviews first is within Yelp's rights, and without proof that Yelp itself wrote any of the reviews, it isn't defamation, and it isn't extortion. Technically, Yelp is totally correct. They are not extorting anyone in a very specific legal sense. They are simply threatening economic harm to induce a person to pay. Which isn't legally extortion. Nope.